All right, man. What's up? This is your boy Black Magic from Six Sports. This is my new show called Unlimited. Your host Black Magic, and I got my boy Jason here.
Hey, my guy.
Appreciate it, man.
Hey, appreciate you,
for
bro.
a long time, man.
Yeah,
but we got it here now. So
Yeah.
what's up? What's going on with you?
Not much, man. Just getting things done, doing what I can out here, one rep at a time, one diabetic needle at a time, one Leaf game at a time. So again, appreciate the jersey you got me, man. You're the man out here.
It, man.
Wasn't ready for that, but it was all good.
It's all
Appreciate
good, man.
that.
It's
Yeah.
all love. One love, bro.
Awesome.
So talk to me about your upbringing and everything, about how you got into hockey and everything, the love of the sport and everything.
Yeah, for me, man, I mean, growing up in Toronto, Canada, it was one of those things where my dad was actually part of an all-black hockey team, right?
Yeah.
Interesting enough, the team was called the Midnight Express, right? A bunch of black guys on a team called the Midnight Express. It was a lot of fun. When I was a kid, I would go and watch them play, and I was like, damn, my pops is out there crushing it on the ice. I want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So my dad would actually always have these nighttime games, and these nighttime games would be at 12 a.m., and I'd always do what I could. My dad was always just like, nah, man, it's too late, son, it's too late. And then one year, I hit, I think it was like 5 years old, 6 years old, and my dad's like, you know what, I'm gonna bring him out with me, right? And there was one time I was actually able to stay awake.
Yeah.
Ended up going on the ice, had a blast, and ever since then, man, he put me in hockey. Crazy thing, man. I think, since I was younger, I always had a little bit of adversity, but realized that I could kind of overcome it in a sense, because I hadn't played a year of hockey. And at this point, when I was 6 years old, kids at that age had already played what's called AAA hockey, which is the highest level of hockey you could play at that age, right?
Yeah.
So I'm coming in as a six-year-old. All these 5-year-olds already played AAA hockey, and I just come in trying out for the highest level that you could try out for, right?
Exactly.
Nobody thought anything of it. They're like, I haven't seen this kid before. What's he really gonna do? Came out there, actually made the team. I was the last cut on the team, and then the year after that, when I turned 7, I became an assistant captain. I was one of the best players on the team, right? So it just showed the evolution of what I could do. But that's basically, where everything started for me, man. It was just that Midnight Express black hockey team, man.
That's good, man. That's
was
happy.
good.
That's
Yeah.
good for you, man. So after that, you go semi-pro. Tell me about how that went along.
So I ended up playing junior A hockey out of Toronto, Canada.
Yeah.
For me, man, it's just years though of a lot of grind stuff. I don't think a lot of people really realize like what it takes, for someone to play in the NHL, right?
Yeah.
Even me having done it and gone through the process. Not making it as far as the NHL, but still being able to push it and play at a high level for a long period of time. I mean, you're doing this day in, day out. I mean, so we're going from 6 up until you're like 16, 17 before you start playing for junior A hockey teams. It's a grueling thing of like 2-hour practices, maybe 2 times a week. You're also at your games, spending about 2 hours at your games, maybe 2 to 3 a week. And then you're thinking about like, where can I get extra help? So a lot of the players that'll make it to the NHL, they're going to go get extra help. So you're going to spend more money, more time. Like you're at that 7 days a week. And then not to mention now you're doing stuff in the summer. So for me, you're doing that for like 12 years straight. I think the mental part of it is the biggest thing that anybody can do, because the mental side of it will say, hey, you're a kid. And you're seeing everybody else around you is doing kid things, right?
Yeah.
So not that hockey isn't a kid thing, but it's like other kids are just running around on their bikes, getting into trouble.
Normal kid stuff.
Yeah, you know
Normal
what I'm
kids
saying?
growing up stuff.
Exactly, right? But you have to, in your mind, focus on the bigger picture and be like, you know what? I need to focus. I need to stay, on the path.
You want that goal.
You want to reach that goal, right? For me, I'll be honest with you, I got caught in the mix. And for me, when I was actually, 14, 15 years old, I would say I got caught up in the whole high school lifestyle. At 15, I didn't get drafted to the OHL. And I feel like that hit me really hard, because you get drafted at 15 to go and play at a higher level, right? For me, I ended up not getting drafted. And I was hearing a lot of things in the background as to why that happened. A lot of people were essentially trying to sabotage me kind of going where I wanted to go. But I know you can't blame other people for what they're doing. You have to just play your best and do that regardless, even if people put in a bad word for you. But at the time as a kid, I wasn't thinking that way. I was just kind of like blaming the world and just saying, you know what, fuck it, I don't need hockey. Took an entire year off, which you don't want to do that, because now you're off the radar of scouts and things like that. But, I realized that I made a mistake at that time. So I went back, trained myself, and I did a lot of like groundwork training. I would jog for like, I remember just jogging to the gym with a backpack on my back for like 10 miles, doing a full upper body workout, putting the bag back on and running home. And it's crazy because I'll even bump into people, and this is like decades ago. Yeah. And I'll bump into people in the gym today. They'll be like, bro, you were running down the street with a fucking bag on your back. I remember that from like 15 years ago, and it's one of those things that, I ended up actually making it to play junior after that, before I got injured, which actually kind of ended my ability to be able to play sports anymore. But being able to at least make a cut, playing a little bit of junior A hockey, was a lot of, it took a lot of sacrifice. It was a lot of things that I had to do, a lot of challenges I had to go through. and also grow through at the same time, though.
What struggles did you go through? Like, obstacles you go through, like, like you get skin color, hockey. A lot of brothers you don't see playing hockey and everything.
For sure.
So what obstacles you have to go through with that?
For sure. I would say, the interesting thing for me is growing up, being a black hockey player. I mean, I was the only, me and probably 2 other black hockey players that I knew that were in my league. I mean, you're talking a league of like 1,000 kids maybe. And it was me and probably 2 other black guys in the league. One of them, PK Subban, he obviously played in the NHL for a bit. But, for me, it was one of those things where, I feel like I was fortunate enough on a lot of teams where I didn't face a lot of racism. A lot of teams were very welcoming and didn't look at skin color. But I would have moments, for example, when I was younger, where I'll never forget the first time that someone said something that's kind of was a question mark when I was a kid. And I was kind of just like, the fuck did that come from, right? And I was basically, I went to a party and I was like, 8 years old, and you're going to a party again. I'm the only black guy at the party. I have little dreadlocks at the time, shaved the size of my head, similar to this, except for they look a little bit more refined today. But when I was back then, I had the hair coming down, and then I remember we were playing like we were trying to pick like to play tag or some shit like that, and then one of the kids brings up, "Hey, what are those? Are those dreadlocks?" Or he's like, "Hey, what are those?" And I'm like, "Oh, they're dreadlocks," because I thought he was just asking me a question, and he's like, "Oh, I thought they were shitlocks, right?" And it's like you're kind of listening to that. I'm like, where does an 8-year-old kid come up with shitlocks other than their parents? The 8-year-old kid ain't sitting there thinking about that. And at the time you're a kid, you don't realize where it's coming from, but you realize that there's these little subtleties behind the scenes that people might be saying about your nationality, your skin color, your culture, your background, and all those different things that maybe they don't say to you in person. I feel like a lot of times some of the racism that you might face is very subtle, but it's there in certain avenues, certain ways. I remember also playing in Quebec. And I think this is the first time I ever got called a nigger in public when I was actually at playing hockey. And I'll never remember, man. Like I'm on the ice, I'm skating around, and then this kid comes up to me playing from this, because there's a Quebec Pee Wee tournament. It's the biggest tournament that you can play in when you're a kid. You're like 12, 13 years old. This kid skates by me and he calls me, he's like, nigger, right to my ear. And I remember it. I'm like, bro, this guy just fucking say this? And it kind of catches you off guard. You're young, but
that word, that historic word, how it means to our people.
Exactly, man. Historically, and it's just something that's kind of ingrained, in the culture of being African Canadian, African American, whatever it is. And so for me, I hear that and I'm just like, oh, this fucking guy, right? So the crazy thing is, I caught a glimpse of his number, right? So to me, I saw the number 7. So I'm like, a number 7. When I go on the ice next time, I'm just gonna fucking just demolish this kid. That's right?
That's my favorite number, by the way. 7's my favorite number.
7's your favorite number? Okay. So I hear you, man. So I remember I get on the bench, and then I'm on the bench, and my coach is just like, Jay, like, what happened? I'm like, yo, coach, call me a nigger or whatever. But if you're not like black, it's kind of hard to really understand what that means from a cultural perspective. That word
is very, it's a very, like, people always talk about the N word, like the hard A or the I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like me and you, when I say it to you, it's a word of endearment. Like, we can talk about that. Like, we know what it means. Other people, we kind of take offense to because they don't know that struggle and everything.
Exactly.
Like, our ancestors gone through that. It's, trust me, it's a hurtful word.
100%.
Me and my homies, the brothers, we've had this conversation about that word. How we feel about people approaching. Some guy at work came to me one time. Hey, what's up? I'm like, my man.
Yeah.
We cool, but don't ever in your life approach me like that again, because we're gonna have a serious problem.
Exactly.
Never talk to me ever again. And I set them straight. Don't be calling me that, man. I'm not the dude. I'm the wrong one. Don't call me that.
Exactly, bro. 100%, man. And it's just like, especially when they put the hard ER on it too, man. It's like nigger, and it's just like, you gotta drag that shit out for, and it's like, it's crazy, man. Yeah.
And for the hair thing too, I remember one time years ago, went up north with family friends, and some kid came to me like, yo, you got doll hair.
Yeah.
And I went to my uncle. I'm like, he called me. Oh, don't worry. What the hell you mean? Don't worry. He's saying I have doll hair. Like, am I a doll or something? And after it was a big, like, he didn't mean it like that because he's seen. I'm like, it was a big thing. That's the first time I ever experienced racism and everything. So my mom sat me down, like, explained to me, like, because your hair is different, they don't see that type of hair and everything. So it was basically like the first time I ever dealt with racism. So, like, it stuck with me forever, man. So
100%, man. And it's just one of those things that you're gonna go through. I mean, I get it. I'm one of like 2 other black people that were in my league or playing hockey. You go to Montreal, it's a little worse in terms of my own personal experiences, man. I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for that. And again, that was the first time I was called a nigger. I mean, I remember coming off the ice and jumping over the boards, and I saw number 7, so I jumped over the boards. I literally just put this kid in a headlock and just started beating the shit out of him. I got ejected from the game, but it was fucked up because I realized when I got up that I actually got the wrong kid, and it was actually number 17. But I was so pissed off. I saw 7 right off the bat. I'm like, I'm going after this motherfucker. Jump off the boards. I'm beating the kid. Kid's looking at me like, and I realized, oh fuck, I hit the wrong guy. You know what I mean? But I'm like, hey, they all get it now, and that's just kind of how I felt.
You're your team too with the penalties and everything like that. Yeah, going to box and everything. Trust me, I've dealt racism over here and the U.S. The U.S. is a totally different. U.S. is a little,
yeah.
I remember one time, me and my cousin were walking down the street in Brooklyn. Some cops stopped me. Hey, what are you doing? I'm like, put my hands up. Is there a problem?
Yeah.
My pants were too baggy.
Yeah.
I'm like, over here we give tickets. First thing going to my head is, you know that Sean Bell, the night of his bachelor with his wedding, he got shot 51 times. That's first thing going through my head. I'm like, if I move, he might shoot me. This is broad daylight too.
Right.
Thank God for a family friend that actually saw me. He's like, hey man, why hassling the kids for?
Yeah.
The cops said go away and everything, and gave him a hard time. So next time I came, my man, I appreciate you. No, don't worry about that. I'm just sick and tired of seeing these cops hassling young kids. My pants were even baggy. The cop was just bored. He just wanted to start a problem. He's looking for attention. He just wanted to start a problem.
100%.
But I did the right thing. I just had my hands up and everything. So I know that was like years ago, but nowadays, you know how it is nowadays.
Yeah.
Everything too as well, man.
Honestly, that's a good point. And I remember it brings another issue. I mean, I remember one time, I went to Montreal, and I'm not picking on Montreal because Montreal is a beautiful place as well.
It's a nice city.
But it's a great place, you know, and some great people there as well. I'm just saying my own personal experience in terms of what happened. And so there's another time I go to Montreal with some of my boys, and we're staying at a hotel. We're very respectful to everybody. There's nothing that we did. And this is one of the coldest nights of the year, like freezing cold in Montreal. I mean, to the point where your toes feel like they're about to fall off your body, right? And so we go in and we have check-in. Check-in for whatever reason was at like 10 p.m. So we end up showing up at 10 p.m. And then we get in there. They're like, okay, your room's not ready. So they're like, you're gonna have to wait outside, right? So we're like, wait outside, like why can't we wait in the lobby? And they're like, because we told you can't wait in the lobby. And we're just kind of like, okay, that's weird, but we're like, at the time we're 19, we're like, okay, fuck it, whatever. So we go outside. Now we're waiting in the where we wait in the car for a bit, but it's still freezing. It's one of those days it's just freezing. You're not getting enough heat. So then we go back in. It's now 11:30, right? We did an hour and a half, and these guys are like, your room's still not ready, you can go wait back outside, right? And we're like, this doesn't make any sense. And they actually called the cops too. So the cops show up, and now the cop is outside, and we're thinking, hey, we can go up to the cop and we could be like, hey, these guys, our room's supposed to be ready at 10 p.m. It's 11:30, and they're telling us we can't even wait in the lobby. I don't understand. We already paid for the room. Yeah. And so the cop looks at us, and he's just like, why don't you get back in your car and go back to your own country, right? And we're like, motherfucker, we're Canadian. You know what I mean? Just like you, right? But it's like, obviously, when you're going through certain situations like that, you kind of recognize that, these are in your culture, to your black or whatever your skin color. Unfortunately, people do judge you by that. Yeah. And it's just something that you go through, and it's kind of hard to really understand it fully unless you've experienced life as a person of color in a sense.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
So you talk about PK Subban. Talk about your relationship with PK Subban and everything. How long you guys still in contact? You guys keep in touch and everything? Yeah,
no, PK for me, we don't keep in touch or anything like that. It was just one of those things where he played in the same league as me. Yeah. PK was actually 2 years or a year younger than me, and so he would play a year up, right? So we'd be on summer league teams and things like that, and so you would see PK come play up with us, and he'd dominate, man, a very solid player, and just a cool kid overall. And it was always good whenever you can see somebody else that's the same skin color as you, on the ice. It's always good to see. Not that some of my other white brothers weren't cool and stuff like that, but it's just good when you see somebody else. You see other brothers coming up and they're doing their thing also. So that's pretty much with PK. But it's always good to see. His parents were always really cool.
Jamaican parents too, as well.
Jamaican parents too. Yeah. So they were really cool. Just good vibes overall, man.
Yeah, man. And let me ask you a serious question. Do you think NHL hockey as a whole is a conservative sport?
When you say conservative, you mean like
you don't see a lot of brothers.
Yeah.
Like in energy. You think it's a conservative sport? How they don't expand the game to like more ethnic, just like more blacks, Hispanics.
Yeah.
You see that, and you see hockey as that whole still stuck in their old.
Yeah, I think that again, especially in Canada, I feel like there was a lot more subtle, indirect things that you're not going to see in person, but you might say somebody might make a question like, how is he going to mesh maybe, with the rest of the team, and maybe they're going to stamp certain appropriations on someone that don't need to be stamped on. And, in terms of being a person of color, maybe they might think that this person's hood, or they're not really going to be able to respond well to the type of authority that they want to bring as an organization. And I think that some certain things like that are things that maybe indirectly come up in some coaches' minds or some organizations' minds, but also they come up directly in terms of certain things that have happened with people of color as well.
Yeah, because Patrick Kane went through a situation with the whole sexual assault and everything, right? I'm saying if a black NHL player had gone through that, you thought he would have got they would have gone at him hard. Like, NBA, NFL players get annihilated by the media for like assaulting, domestic violence and everything.
Yeah.
Patrick Kane had this situation, but the NHL kind of like, this under the carpet, like, didn't really talk about it as much. You think if a black NHL player had gone through that, you think it would have got more publicized that situation?
Yeah, I think that's just part of the culture of what black males kind of represent, culturally speaking, in mass media over time. Yeah. There's no other group of people that's really been pushed on mass media in a way to look like we're hoodlum or we're ignorant or we're thugs or all we're good for is to be able to play certain things like basketball or football or not intelligent, lazy. Yeah. That's just things that you look at mass media for over 100 years. Those are just things that people see.
Malcolm X said that years ago. The media is going to be the worst thing. I believe Malcolm X. He said that years ago. And everything. He said that, and today he's right.
100%. And you could brainwash people to believe really anything through mass media. I kind of look at where we're at right now and things that we've been through over the last 3 years or 4 years, blatantly and directly. But, this has been going on for a long time. It's one way to steer the masses a certain way to make them believe a certain thing. I think a lot of times what people have to do is really get into a habit of, branching out and really understanding groups of people on a different level and personally as well, so they can frame their own opinions outside of things like mass media, because it really help the world kind of come together in a better way and give more kids more opportunity in a way where they're not being judged as much, whether direct or indirect.
Good. What about Willie O'Weir? You heard Willie O'Weir.
Yeah.
Has he been a major influence in you playing hockey as well? Because you have Anson Carter, Mike Greer, Kevin Weeks. Listen, a lot of black players that play in the NHL. Have these guys been a big influence on you as whatsoever?
Yeah, like I remember my dad used to talk about Willie O'Ree a lot, and I think the thing about Willie O'Ree is it's always good when somebody can break a stereotype and they can be the first to do things, but you also recognize certain things that kind of helped me to recognize that it's not easy. I mean, you got first black hockey player to play in the NHL, but a lot of white people were playing long before that, and it's not to say that black people weren't good enough. It's just to say they weren't allowed to play, right? And so it really kind of would ingrain in me at a younger age that you got to be better. Like, no matter what you do in your life, you have to be better. You can't just show up and be like everybody else. You got to put in extra work. That means you got to work if someone else is working 20 hours, you better work 24. If someone else is out here and maybe they go and they lift one dumbbell, you got to lift two, and it's one of those things. I've always had that in my mentality, because I realize it's not going to be easy out here. And if you think that you're going to sit here and you're just going to wake up and show up and the world owes you something, it definitely doesn't, because it didn't owe him anything. It doesn't owe a lot of people of color things, man. And I don't even want to just break it down to people of color, because I know there's other people out there as well that go through stuff that maybe aren't necessarily black. But the truth about it is, there's different layers to society and different layers to things that we do have to look at. And we do have to realize, and some people need to, really put their foot forward in a way where they're pushing themselves a little bit more to their limits than other people are.
Yeah, because then we got to work twice as hard to get half as much.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, that's the truth. That's the reality we're in today. But we have to work twice as hard to get half as much.
It is. And a lot of people might say that's that's not the case, or racism doesn't exist, or whatever the situation is. But unless you've really stepped in somebody's shoes, it's really hard to really paint that picture, because you're going to learn it through TV and media, and any type of research you do on your own will never trump the research of somebody who actually lives and walks in those shoes. And it's the same thing like me being a type 1 diabetic. It's kind of hard for somebody, and again, I'm not ragging on people like that are in the education field or the medical field at all, but I've had medical people that will drop say, hey, I've been a diabetes educator for 10 years and I wouldn't do it this way, I would do it that way. I'm saying, well, you know what, motherfucker, I've been a type 1 diabetic for over 23 years and I live this every single day of my life. I have to, before I go to my bed, set an alarm clock just to make sure I wake up in the fucking morning. So if somebody comes to me and they say, hey, this is my opinion from an outside source because I read it out of a book, nothing trumps actually walking in those shoes, whether you're a type 1 diabetic or whether you're a person of color or whether you're somebody that just goes through something in your life. Maybe you suffer anxiety or depression. Who am I to talk to somebody who suffers from anxiety and depression from an outside source if I'm not going through your shoes and walking through your shoes? So it's important for people to listen to those people and really hear them outside of looking at papers and documents and research that tells you about something. Instead, try walking in their shoes or try listening. And I think that's the most important thing, where we have to go to humble ourselves to the experiences of other people's who actually walk those shoes.
Speaking of diabetic, you're a diabetic athlete. Tell me more about that. What's the challenge you got to deal with that on a daily basis? You played hockey, you were in the gym and everything. How's it? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, for me, honestly, being a diabetic was a huge shock. It was the first time my dad ever cried. That I seen him cry. I mean, I love my dad to death, man. Amazing guy. But I was diagnosed at 11 years old, and from this time I started playing again at 6 years old. So we fast forward to 11 years old, and now I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes, for anyone that doesn't know, is a disorder where your body's own immune system attacks your pancreas. Your pancreas is what makes insulin, which helps to keep your blood sugar stable. Yeah. If your blood sugar goes all over the place, you're going to feel like shit, lethargic, lazy, tired, etc., and you can't get shit done. So you have to go on insulin shots for the rest of your life. So at 11 years old, I had a drastic change in my life, which was also another hurdle where I had to take 5 to 6 needle shots a day, and I had to test my blood sugar another 5 to 6 times a day, every day for the rest of my life, right? And obviously still doing it to this point. For me, it was a huge, change in what I was doing, because I played at the highest level of hockey that you could play at, right? And so my intensity level was up here, but now, because my body's not producing insulin, I had to think about, now I'm on the ice and I'm putting in all this effort and all this work, and it's like, how do I, one, still recognize my dream of playing some type of pro or junior A, stepping on the ice and competing with everybody else. I'm still black, and now I'm a diabetic. So it's like, now I got to worry about all these other things. Can he hack it? Can he really be a part of the team? And so there's a lot of learning curves I had to go through, and I had to grow through at the same time. And so for me, it was a challenge. Because you really have to balance things out. Now you have to really be on your P's and Q's, and you have to take life a little bit more serious than the next person, because if you don't, you could be dead the next day.
Okay, if diabetic athlete, so when you played hockey, what meal did you make before you play a hockey game?
Right. So for me, it'd be one of those things. So I'll be honest, when we were on the road a lot, so me and my dad, a lot of times we would end up at fast food restaurants, because that's all we really knew at the time, right? And so we'd stop off at like Burger King and McDonald's. And again, these are not good choices for people in the long run, especially to get the right nutrition on board. But I also have home cooked meals sometimes and get good stuff on board. But for my diabetes, I really had to learn how to really take in sugar the right way. So I'd always have Gatorade with me when I was training, and I knew, for example, if I'm going into a game and my blood sugar level is as a normal range now, like everybody else's blood sugar would be in a normal range, I knew that I couldn't just go into that game like that. I'd have to have like 30 grams of sugar off my Gatorade in order to play at the intensity that I was playing at, because if I didn't, then I'm going to nosedive, blood sugar is going to go low. Blood sugar goes low on the ice, you're not coherent, your head is down, you get laid the fuck out by somebody who's looking to rip your head off on the ice, then you're going to have more of a problem. Now you got more issues you got to deal with. So it was important for me to really learn how to manage my blood sugar level with, again, the nutrients that I'm taking and the sugar that I'm taking in, so that I could find a recipe that made sense so I could still play at that high level. So it was really a crash course on how to...
Any Caribbean food to eat before the game?
Oh, man, great question, bro. I mean, one of the things I would always have, not always, man, but I'd always love, breakfasts. Sometimes on the weekends, I'd have like a little bit of plantain. Love plantain.
Saltfish.
Yeah, ackee and saltfish. Oh, shit, bro. Honestly, man, I would have forgot about that. I'm glad you said that, bro. I love ackee and saltfish, man. Kalaloo is amazing too, man.
Festivals, fried dumplings.
Oh, 100%, man.
You can go on all day.
Oh, 100%, man. I'll knock someone out for a good fried dumpling, man.
Festivals, cassava, everything.
Festivals also, cassava, yeah.
That's my favorite.
Jesus, guys taking me back to my childhood, bro.
I'm with my grandparents. My grandparents from every day, man. Trust
me. I'm
in heaven right now living with them, man. I get food on a regular basis.
I love it, bro. I love it, man. I'm surprised you didn't bring none when you came, bro. I'm a little disappointed now.
My grandma made some before I left.
You ate it all before you got here, eh?
Some fried dumplings, some plantain, man. Some pears. So I'm good, man. I'm good.
Now you just rubbed it in, bro.
Next time I'll definitely bring you guys some. Next time.
Yeah. All right. We'll hold you to
it. You're big into the fitness. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, man. So for me, I mean, when I stopped playing sports, it's like you have all this energy. Yeah, and again, I stopped playing. Ended up getting injured, a few concussions, things like that. But the first thing I want to say is that me not playing sports wasn't a result of me being a diabetic. And a lot of times, there's a lot of diabetics out there that have misconceptions. They're told not to work out. They're told not to train. They're told to eat low carb or eat no carb. And there's not a lot of synergy when it comes to understanding how to train at a high level while also being a diabetic. And I did that my entire life. And so when I see certain diabetics who will say certain things to me, it's coming from a place of love, of me trying to tell you, hey, you don't necessarily have to do that. I think maybe it's really more about being more intuitive with your body and moving forward and learning how to manage the diabetes with your intensity level, right? And so for me, me not playing hockey anymore was more a result of me me of the injuries that I got in terms of concussions and dislocated shoulders, things like that. I couldn't play anymore as a result of that. But that really, the energy that I had on board, it really translated and pushed me more to do things like fitness and teaching other people now how to work at different intensity levels to get the results that they want. Because not only did I play hockey, not only did I play football, I played soccer growing up as well. But I also started bodybuilding. So I started getting into that bodybuilding aspect of it. And then for me, it was a way for me to redirect my energies because I really had no place to go. When you stop playing sports and all you do is eat, drink, sleep, shit, play hockey all the time, that's all you're doing. Now all of a sudden one day someone says, okay, you can't do it anymore, you're done, you're injured. What do you want to do when you grow up? I'm like, I'm already grown up. So that's already happened. But I really didn't get any, to be honest with you, I didn't have anything in my mind besides playing in the NHL. I didn't have anything in my mind besides playing pro hockey. So now I'm just at a place where I'm like, now I got to go from being up here to thinking I got to sit behind a desk now and type all day. And it just never appealed to me, right? So I was like, the best thing I can think of, and I bounced around for a bit. And this is why I always tell people, man, don't be afraid to test things out and try things out and bounce around to find yourself. Because I remember I went and I got a degree. I went to York University, got a degree. I went and got a pre-service firefighting diploma. Then after that, I went and I worked at a factory for a week. I made it to a week and I was like, man, I can't fucking do this shit. I stocked shelves for a fucking week. I'm like, I can't do this shit because my body was just ramped up. I need to go, And so, that's when I got to the point of just getting into training, and it naturally kind of started falling in my lap. And I got to a point when I was just kind of, after being through so much, and I went through a lot, personally speaking, with my family as well, and certain things that we went through. And I got to a point, man, where I remember just waking up in the morning. It was like 3 a.m. in the morning. And I was in the fucking kitchen. I'm literally asking God, what the fuck do you want me to do, man? Like, I feel like I've done fucking everything, man. I put everything I had into hockey. I've done everything I could with diabetes. I'm trying to fucking find my way here. Give me a fucking sign. Let me fucking figure this shit out, man. Like, I was just fed up, right? Yeah. And when you ask, you really shall receive. Yeah. And to be honest with you, when I had that pinnacle moment in my life where I really called God out on some shit, and I'll be honest with you, man, it's like he spoke back or she spoke back, or you can't really call. And again, I'm not taking anything away from or whatever beliefs anybody else has, but this is just my own personal life. And I believe in God. I believe in a higher power. So for me, it was one of those things where I really got answers back. And it was like my life kind of started coming together more to give me more of a path. And that path really started with training and fitness.
Athletes, right? Like I see all these football and basketball players. Sometimes they always tell these guys all the time, man, like, go get your degree. Because you never know, like, especially football. All it takes is one hit, you're done. Like, that's why they call it not for long. All it takes is one hit and you're gone. Yeah. You see all these NFL players, like in college, they put everything into the NFL. Like, you guys got to have a goal come. Yeah. So football, like, it's 1 in a million time to make it to the NFL. And you got to keep working hard to get someone's spot and everything as well. Right. And I wish some of these athletes today go back to school, get a degree. Like, you see all these guys on ESPN now, they go back to school for communication. They're doing stuff on podcasts, hosting shows, they're analysts now, which is good. But I don't see all these athletes, like, just take your education seriously, man. Like, I'm dead serious, but it's one of those things, man. Like, it's today. I had that feeling too. I want to be in NFL, NBA, and everything. But my mom would tell me, like, you gotta hit the books, man. Because I'm telling you, all it takes is one hit. You're done. You got nothing to fall back on.
It's true.
It's true, man. Like, you see all these NFL players nowadays. And they don't have nothing to fall back on now. Football is their life. Now they don't got it anymore. They take it away from them. They don't know what to do anymore.
100%. And it's like, even today, I mean, I really just genuinely believe it would be great if there was more, I would say, like, resources that would help sports players, athletes who didn't make the cut, but they spent their entire life being wound up to play sports. It's almost like sending someone off to war. And again, no disrespect to anyone who's been to war, because obviously you go through a lot when you go to battle, but all you know is like the warriors around you that you're fighting with. And all of a sudden now, very much sport is like a battle. And now all of a sudden that's taken away from you and you don't have that anymore. It's really a mental mindset from there to try to figure out what you're going to do next, right? And I think a lot of times having more resources out there for athletes who can now more maybe become entrepreneurial and find ways out to help themselves, because I think a lot of times athletes are geared towards entrepreneurship, but that's not talked about a lot. And so they'll say, okay, now you're done, you're an athlete, go get a degree, go do this. When in actuality, a lot of athletes have been through a lot because they've had to. You have to learn your mindset. You have to train harder than the next person who you went to school with, because they don't know what it's like to have to, after school, come home and then train for 2 to 3 hours doing some type of sport. So you really find a lot of discipline in doing that. And that discipline and those characteristics for a lot of people can really translate over to things like entrepreneurship, to really bottle and funnel that energy into something else.
Perfect example, LeBron James.
Yeah,
LeBron
exactly
is right now and everything as well, man. Like he has a school, one open that wish school in Cleveland and everything. Right. He's doing it big and everything. So
right. Exactly.
I like that. So
100%.
So we were talking about that. I want to get your situation on the Tyre Nichols thing. Unfortunately, that young black man in Memphis that was brutally killed by 5 police officers. He was handcuffed, beat him up. 3 years later, he passed away. What's your take on that situation?
You know what? I'll be honest. I didn't see. I guess I've been so focused lately on my stuff. I didn't see a lot on the Tyre Nichols situation myself. But one thing that I will say again is I think that it's one of those things where I feel like the world is at a point where the world needs to really kind of come together in a major way. I think there's been so many things that have caused a lot of divide in our society these days. I mean, if I trace things back to even what we went through a little bit with, the situation of viruses that have been out there as well. And the way that I look at it, it's society was really divided on what your choices were to do certain things during that time as well, which caused a rift. And I think that there's always, something out there that's dividing society. It can cause a lot of radical ideas from both standpoints. I mean, I've heard, black organizations that might come out and say, hey, we need death to white people and things like that.
I've seen that stuff too as well.
You know what I mean? And then at the same time, then we have white people that might come out and say, black people, here we go again, trying to call wolf, and the situation wasn't as bad as it was. I think at the end of the day, we're at a point where people need to come together. From radical sides, we don't need radical ideas. We need people to more come together. It's not about death to this person, death to that person. We're not going back to Nazi Germany. This is not what we need to do. And I think over the last 4 or 5 years, I've seen a lot of things that have happened that are very resemblance of Nazi Germany. And I think the more we can find love, compassion, and empathy for each other, the more we can move forward in a positive direction that brings people together, that teaches people more on the background behind people in terms of why they might do certain things, in terms of the cultural history of certain people, black people, even us understanding the culture of white people and maybe where Europeans are, where white people come from Europe or whatever the situation is. And I think the biggest thing that we can do is just learn how to have a better understanding with each other. And sometimes when we break down these categories, a lot of times in black and white and this and that, it just prolongs the fight and the war and the battle. And a lot of times through mass media, they keep trickling this out, and all it does is amplify the intensity and the passion in people. And if it doesn't do it in the right way, then that passion turns to resentment, turns to hate, and then that hate turns to violence, that violence turns to war, and then it becomes a perpetual cycle that never ever ends itself.
Never gonna end. Like, I feel like the media puts out what they want to put out.
100%.
They pick out, like, hey, we'll put that out.
Right.
Put that out. Like, I don't listen to the media sometimes. I know they're a bunch of bullshit sometimes. Like CNN, Fox, they're all a bunch of crack. I don't have time for that crap, man.
Exactly.
So it is what it is with
and if you think about it, even something like the mass media having as much of a reach as they can to instill the emotion of fear, of anger, of resentment that they're trying to instill in everybody. Imagine a radical idea here, and I don't want to call it a radical idea because sometimes radical ideas, obviously, they go a little too far and they create divide. So let's just say more of a compassion idea where they come out here instead, and instead of trying to divide people and instill fear, they say, hey guys, this offers us an opportunity to come together more, to understand each other more, to have stuff in place that allows us to learn more and grow more together. These incidents happen, but they also provide us an opportunity here to move together in a way that moves humanity forward and not back 60 years, 100 years that we keep doing, and I think having more things that bring unity together and having more messages through mass media like that will be more of a powerful stance and more of a powerful thing that we can do moving forward. But mass media will never do that, because mass media's job on a global scale is to instill fear, is to instill division, and is to instill divide. And if people look at mass media from the beginning of time, that's all they've ever done. Yeah. If you turn on your news station right now, I'll bet any money that I have right now in my bank, I promise you right now that whatever you're going to see there is going to be something negative, something happened, and it's not going to be anything that's really going to empower you, unless you're watching a sports channel. which they're doing it the right way. But that's just the reality of the situation we live in. So I try not to dive as much as I know that this stuff exists. I try my best now, because I've been fighting this fight for a long time when it comes to what I see in mass media and what I see happen out there, that I want to just create a different reality Like I don't want to be part of their reality anymore. If that makes sense.
I feel at the end of the day we're all one. We're all one. We're all humans at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what skin color, religion, anything. I think we're all one race.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, some people don't see it like that, but it's the world we live in today, man.
100%.
It's all, and we all got to come together at the end of the day.
100%. 100%.
As for sports too, sports media does tend to pick on certain athletes. Like I'm just saying, like they'll cover like LeBron James, the biggest thing. They'll talk more about LeBron. ESPN's known for that, which I don't got a problem with it.
Yeah.
You know, what preach to the masses, like Cowboys, anything that makes them like people want to listen to. Sports media does that as well too.
Yeah.
You know, on top of that,
100%, 100%.
And what are you listening to? What music you listen to today? Like old hip hop, new school today, whatsoever.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I have like a wide range of music that I really like to listen. I'm pretty eclectic when it comes to that. Like I love hip hop, love R&B. 90s R&B will always be like my favorite.
Speaking of R&B, I asked these two one time last year, man. They never heard a New Edition. I had to give these guys shit.
Open the door, Brian. Open the door. Get these guys out of here, man. That's ridiculous.
I couldn't believe they never heard a New
Edition.
Yeah,
that's absolutely. I didn't even know that either, but that just pisses me the fuck off, bro.
New Edition. I couldn't believe they heard New Edition.
That pisses me the fuck off.
You know, Candy Stand the Rains are all time. That's my favorite R&B
song. Candy, bro. Candy Rain.
Yeah, but they never heard, but they never knew it was New Edition. They never knew it was New Edition that sang that song. I was flabbergasted.
I'm blown away right now, brother. Like I didn't even know. I've known these guys for almost 8 years now, bro. And the fact that I didn't know that, bro. Honestly, I was
shocked, man. I was.
No, man, I can't.
I'm playing. No, but like,
bro, I can't.
But I gave them a little history about New Edition and everything, so they're on board New Edition now.
I want to apologize for these guys over here, man. I can't even like. This is absolutely brutal. Anyway,
about them, man. I love R&B. Yeah. 90s music is my all time. I love 90s music.
Yeah.
Man. I'm Jamaican, you know, I love my Bob Marley. My 100%. Grandparents, they love the Motown music and everything as well too.
Motown's huge, man.
My grandma loves Gladys Knight, you know, Patti LaBelle, Aretha Franklin. That's my grandma's stuff. My mom the same thing too. She loves that, Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
My mom, New Edition, she wanted to marry the lead singer from New Edition, Valtrez, man. She still wants to marry him to this day, man. That's my mom's husband, man. She loves him to death.
Yeah, for sure.
But like 90s music for me is I don't care. No one said like I like 2000s. But 90s is probably to me is the greatest era ever. That's just my personal opinion.
100%.
Everything. TV shows. It was the best era in my opinion. That's just personally my opinion, man.
Bro. Like even before my games, man, you had people amped up to like, dude, like get on my level, shit like that. And I'm over here listening to Candy Rain, bro. My love, dude. They sang it way better than me, bro. But I'm telling you, when I was in the zone, bro, I had that shit on full blast, and that shit was amping me up, man. Even in Monica's shit, like Monica back in the day, she had a lot of bangers too,
you
bro.
know, her and Brandy got into a fight, man.
They did.
Before one of the music awards, I think they were arguing about something, and Monica just straight snuffed her.
What?
And they were supposed to perform after that too as well. They performed.
I didn't even know that.
I didn't know about that. I heard a couple. I'm like, damn, man. But they're cool now. But I think it was the whole thing about that song, "Boy's Mind" and everything.
Oh shit!
They were beefing over the title of that cover.
Oh
the album and
damn, bro.
But Brandy was just being very extra and everything. Yeah. Monica just one time just snuffed her one time.
Damn, bro, that's crazy, bro. I didn't even know that, man.
Yeah, man. So
hey, it was a good track though.
Trust me, my older cousin, she was bumping that track.
Yeah. No.
Girlfriends are all the time, and I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
I just laugh at them on the regular. To be honest with you, man. It is what it is.
I think the biggest thing that really pissed me off, bro, and man, and this actually happened back in the day, was TLC had a song called "Don't Go Waterfalls," right? And
for the record, I still want to marry Chili.
Oh,
like Usher's my dude.
Yeah,
but he messed up with Chili. I'm just letting you know from day one. He messed up with Chili.
Yeah, he messed up, man. It's gonna be a problem too because I actually wanted to marry her too, bro. So I guess the best man win, bro.
All right, man.
Yeah, but anyway, bro, the TLC, man, they came up with a song called Waterfalls, right?
I love that song. Yeah, that's
huge song, bro.
That's a banger.
Huge song, man. And I don't know if you know, man, but I actually I thought for the longest time they were saying "Don't go chasing Jason Waterfalls" when I was a kid. Until I found out they were saying chasing.
Yeah.
And I promise you, bro, that was the biggest slap in my face, bro, because I thought the entire time that it was a song for, like, that was for me. You know what I'm saying? And I think I went through a period where I was really distraught.
Yeah.
Right? It was really a huge blow for myself, man. I'm not even bullshitting. I legit thought that I'm a fucking man.
You know, one time I was at work, I was blasting my Bluetooth. I don't give a damn. I work at the 4-pound blast, I don't give a damn, man. I was listening to some old Drew Hill. Some guys like, we listening to him, like, Drew Hill. That music's trash, man, my man. you're only here because of that song. Because this is something your mom and dad got busy with, and that's why you're hearing everything,
it's
man.
True, yo, it's true. Yeah.
Said, yo, he ain't lying, man. Your parents probably got busy to that song. That's why you're hearing everything, man. So
yo, it's true, man.
Kind of just shut up after and went back to work.
Hey, yo,
still, man.
A lot of babies got popped out in the '90s, man, and thanks to the music, man. I mean, it's a little bit.
Man, that's my Boyz II Men, my all-time favorite, man. I told these guys too. Boyz II Men got their name from a New Edition song called Boyz II Men.
Oh, I didn't even know that actually, bro. That's crazy.
So New Edition and Boyz II Men are like they're linked together.
Yeah.
And on top of that too, when New Edition went through their whole breakup and everything, the manager said, "I'm going to find a white version of you guys." New Kids on the Block.
Wow, bro. Yeah.
New Kids on the Block and Boyz II Men and New Edition, they're friends.
Yeah.
This is the manager at the time was stealing their money and everything.
Yeah.
But they're still good regardless of the situation, man. People didn't know that Bobby Brown was a New Edition too. People didn't know Bobby Brown was a New Edition.
Oh yeah. I knew that though, man. Bobby Brown was classic back in the day too, man. Crazy. Yeah. Crazy.
I think it's a bad rap for the whole Whitney situation.
Yeah,
I don't want to get into that because I can go into a special about that.
Oh, for sure, man.
Honestly, God, I really appreciate you coming on the show, man.
No, appreciate you having me, bro.
I gotta have you again too, man.
Yeah,
we can talk about everything all day. Man. Race, trust me, we can go into everything.
I know there's a lot of topics for us to unpeel, bro. I got this for sure, man.
We'll do it again for sure.
Yeah, we got to. Yeah.
So this is your boy Black Magic from Unlimited. Peace out, Jason. I want to appreciate
you, bro. Yeah. Man. It was a lot of fun, man. Right. Yeah.